Thank you, Lord Phil. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for hosting once again today in your modest and unassuming apartments. I have to say, my office is downstairs in the basement, and it looks nothing whatsoever like this. But friends, Chanukah, of course, is supposed to be a time of celebration, a time of family, and of course, a time of light. But as Phil said a few minutes ago, 2 years ago, we met under the shadow of the October 7 massacre, perpetrated by the terrorist group Hamas. And last year, we stood here again under the shadow of the hostages still held in Gaza, leaving empty places around so many tables. And now, tragically, once again, for the third year in a row, we meet under yet another dark shadow. We meet under the shadow of the Islamist terrorist murders at the Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester and the appalling terrorist murders committed in Sydney on Sunday. And these appalling murders, terrorist murders, show more clearly than ever why the evil of antisemitism must be defeated. Because as history teaches, what starts as antisemitism invariably becomes murder. And let us be clear about who committed those murders in Manchester and in Australia, and who committed the atrocities on October the 7th. They were the work of Islamist extremists. Let us not be afraid to openly call it what it so clearly is. And these murders show more powerfully than ever there must be zero tolerance. That cannot just be words, it demands actions. Now, at PMQs earlier today, the Prime Minister talked about increasing security at synagogues and at other places. That is, of course, important, but that is treating the symptom. It is not treating the cause. The cause is rampant anti-Semitism and Islamist extremism, and that must be eradicated at source. And that is why it sickens me to hear chanting on the streets of London, just a few metres from where we're now standing for 2 or 3 years now, chants calling for global intifada or calling for jihad, because those calls are a call for violence. Yeah. They glorify and encourage anti-Semitism and murder. They cause, in my view, the atrocities that we have recently seen. Enough of that. I'm sick of it. It must be stopped from happening on the streets of this country. And we must be clear, those of us in public office, about the kind of country we want to build and the kind of country we want to live in. A country where there is no place for anti-Semitism or extremism or sympathy for terrorism. And one way we can send that message in a voice that is unmistakable is to say that if there are people in this country who are not British citizens, they're here as students, working, family visas, whatever it is, if people here who are not British citizens express anti-Semitic views or extremist views, or express support for violence or terrorism, they are not welcome, their visa should be cancelled and they should be deported. Because words are not enough any longer, actions speak louder. The streets of this city, London, this great city, and the length and the breadth of this country should be safe for the Jewish community. I think I said last year that when a friend of mine a Jewish friend of mine was planning to visit from New York, he phoned and asked if London was safe for him and his family, his daughters, if they wore symbols of Judaism, like a Star of David or a skull cap. And it was shameful that that question even had to be asked. And we've seen now, in the last few months in Manchester, and again in Australia, just how real that threat is. And it's the duty, in my view, of everyone in public office, whether in government or in opposition, to make this country, to make the streets of this city and the lands of this nation safe for every single member of the Jewish community, and we must take the action needed to ensure that happens. Thank you.